I'm going to talk a little bit more about how to win in the current housing market and several tips to succeed. My name is Kimo. I'm the founder of Expat Housing Network, and I'm half Dutch, half Caribbean, a proud father of a daughter who is 4 but thinks she's 16, so that's always fun. I bought my own home about 5 years ago, and after getting 7 offers rejected, I finally got my offer accepted. By the way, back then, I wasn't in the business. I wasn't doing what I'm doing now. I think about 2 years thereafter, as we started helping out people buying homes. So I'm here to add value to you today. We're going to talk about several different things. The mind state of getting into the housing market. It's good to understand what it is like, and also the tips to actually succeed in the current market. And there will be some time for Q&A. Again, if you have any questions in the chat, pop them in or open up your camera and mic, and then feel free to ask away. I believe greatness is achieved in the agency of others. This is the team that you'll most likely be working with if you decide to move forward with DHN. They've either lived abroad or are from abroad, so they know what it's like to move to a new country and settle. These are the locations that we can actually support, and please know that they're the metropolitan areas. So that is where we can help you out. We are not traditional real estate agents. We have a lot of experience, but no official background. Why not? Why do I always highlight this? Because real estate agents have a bit of a, how would you say that? A bit of a image. Fast guys with slick hair and suits on scooters. We are not like that. We are here to help people out. We're not here to move bricks. We only help with buying as well. What means is that we focus on getting the property for you, securing it for you, right? And we don't focus on selling or renting, so we're not distracted by any of those other businesses. We charge a fixed fee, so no commission, and we know what it's like to settle into a new country. Why work with us? Well, selling agents take your offer more seriously. We can also sometimes book in viewings that are no longer possible, and we support by reviewing the legal documents. We also have help define the market value, very, very, very important, and we'll inform you about rules and regulations. We'll also make sure you don't make the same mistakes that I made, so that's a good thing. The mind state, so the market is increasing, is rapidly increasing, and people ask me, is this a good time to buy? I believe it's a good time as any. Why? Because I think you should buy not for the short term, but for the long term. And there are several different things that causes the prices to increase. And fiscal benefits is one of the most important things. There are several different things that the government has put in place to make it more attractive to own or buy a home. Tax exemption is one of them. If you're 34 years or younger, and if you buy a property up to 400,000, then you don't have to pay transfer tax, which is 2%. That's a nice amount. Interest rebate also makes it quite interesting because you can deduct the interest that you pay off your mortgage on the end of your taxable income. Again, so you get 30 to 40% of that money back. There's no capital gain, so if you sell your property, you don't have to pay taxes over the money that you earn on the property. So we're seeing a lot of people putting that money back into the market. Low interest rates, it's cheap to rent or to buy or to borrow money. It's not free, of course, but it's cheap compared to interest rates of 5 to 10% 20 to 30 years ago. And the rents are high, so that means a lot of people are driven towards the market to buy. And there's lack of supply because there's not enough properties for people to, well, there's enough properties for people to live in, but not enough suitable properties for people to live in. So we need to build faster, more, but it doesn't speed up as much as they wanted to. So what does this mean? This means that the price will not go down anytime soon. There's too much money flooding the markets, and I don't expect it to go down in the next year or two. Maybe thereafter, there will be a bit of a dip, but it's very difficult to predict that. I don't have a glass ball. If I would be on the beach right now, and you would still have this beautiful presentation from me, but I have a different background. One last thing to mention, like I mentioned this earlier, don't buy for 1 or 2 years. It becomes speculation. Buy for longer. If you want to speculate, of course, that's fine, but that's gambling. If you, however, want to build up equity, buy for 5 or more years. I know that you guys don't know where you will be at 5 years from now, but you can always rent out the property. So I'm going to talk about a few tips to succeed in the housing market. Preparation is half the work. Make sure you nail your finances. Why? Because you'll know what you can actually spend on a monthly basis and what you can spend on a property. Nobody wants to look for a funda and then find properties they can't afford or end up offering on a property. It turns out they can't get the right money or mortgage for it. So know what you can spend on a monthly basis. Get support from an independent mortgage broker. Why is that important? There's 2 reasons. One, of course, they'll know what you can borrow as max, but also they know if you're going to get your mortgage or not. This will come into handy a little bit later in the process when you submit that offer, right? Sometimes they can even get your mortgage confirmed within the cool-off period. They'll also be able to give you the best rates because they have a range of different mortgage providers to choose from. Whereas if you go with a bank, they'll try to sell you their products. So understand what you're getting yourself into is good. Have a chat, I would say, with both the bank and the mortgage broker. Know what you have to spend on purchase fees. Very, very important, because most likely you'll spend either 3 to 5% of the purchase price on closing fees. What are the closing fees? Things like the notary, the agent, the technical inspector, the appraiser, the bank slash mortgage broker. All of those costs combined, which are related to the buying process, are purchase fees. And again, they'll amount either to 3 or 5% of the purchase price, depending on whether you pay transfer tax or not. And then, of course, also understand what you'd have to put up in savings, because right now the market is competitive. People are offering over market value, which means that you would have to put some savings towards the offer to actually secure the property. Second one is fundamentals. Have a look at several different things, because the search is key to your start, of course. Make sure you set up a reminder for yourself. Funda sends an email with properties that are new. Also look based on dates. Don't just look based on relevance, based on dates, because newer properties are more likely for you to view. Of course, look at whether they're available, what the status is. If you see under offer or under option there, it is gone. If it's sold, well, that's clear, it's gone already. Asking price is good to look at. And then this is probably one of the most important things. If you see a property, especially in the evenings or over the weekend, surface that you think is nice, book a viewing directly. You'll be in the system of the real estate agent and they'll actually reach out to you. If you wait until Monday to call them, most likely they have gone through their whole system already and say, sorry, but stand in line. So book your viewings ASAP. Start looking for properties about 15 to 20% below your mortgage cap, or what you can actually spend in total. So if you could, for example, spend 480,000 euros, if you can spend that, that is mortgage including savings, then look for properties around the 400,000 mark. Don't go look for properties around the 450 mark, because most people will overbid and most likely the property will be priced lower than the actual value. So have a look at about properties that are 15 to 20% below your mortgage cap. Then also have a look at several different other things. The price per square meter. If you start comparing properties, look at the price per square meter. Don't look at the full price, right? Sometimes people say, I don't understand why this property is much more expensive than the other property or much cheaper than the other property. It's the same lookout, it's the same number of rooms, but there's several different things. Price per square meter is key because they'll look at what the value of the property is per square meter. It's one of the best ways to actually compare properties. Also, look at the owner association service fees. So if you buy an apartment in a bulk building that has multiple owners in it, you will have to contribute to the owner association. The owner association is a group of owners in that building that manages and maintains the public spaces, the building, insurance, stuff like that. They also manage savings in case anything needs to be maintained in the future. This will tell you how much they'll actually save on a monthly basis. So let me do a calculation here. 66 euros is a decent amount. Why? Because if you look at the square meter size, take into account that the average should be 1.3 euros to 1.67 euros per square meter. In this case, it's a little bit more than 1.3, right? Which is good. If this would, however, would be 40 euros, then they're not saving enough because it's lower than 1 euro. If this would be 200 euros, they're saving a lot of money. So this is also something that you can use during the viewing. Figure out why they're saving so much money or why they're not saving any money at all. How did the setup is working, right? Are they just paying it off as they go? Or is there a lot of savings in the account already? What's the status there? Look, the energy label tells you a little bit about the sustainability and energy sufficiency. Sometimes it's easy to increase this and add some value by, for example, adding a boiler and stuff like that. Also, look at whether the property is on ground that is owned by you or that is owned by the municipality or a private party. If the latter, so if it's owned by a private party, steer clear from it because banks don't like to give you a mortgage. If it's owned by you, that's great. If it's owned by the municipality, figure out what the conditions are. Do you pay rent on an annual basis? Will that start increasing at some point? What is the condition there? Again, this refers to the owner association. It's on the bottom of the page. Here you'll see if they have savings and if there's a maintenance plan. Very important because this tells you a little bit about how active that association is. Number 3, value. Look at this property, 400,000 euros. It's on the market. And who put it on the market? The selling agent. The selling agent has a lot of freedom when it comes to the asking price. He's not restricted by anything. Of course, he's stupid to put it up for a value that is way, way, way off, but there's a lot of room there. Why am I showing you this? Because a lot of people ask me, how much should I overbid over the asking price? And I tell them, don't look at the asking price, look at the market value. The market value is the value based on properties sold in the last 6 to 9 months or 6 to 12 months that are similar, right? Market value is something that the value that the bank also will use when it comes to giving you a mortgage. So the bank is not going to give you more than 430,000 euros here. Then asking price is 400K, market value is 430, purchase price is 460. The difference between asking and purchase is 15%. The difference between market value and purchase is 7.5%. This is example 1. Now let's look at example 2. Another agent puts the same property up for 380. Market value doesn't change, purchase price doesn't change, but the narrative changes because suddenly people start saying, hey, I have to offer 21 over the asking price. But it doesn't say anything about the difference between market value and purchase price. It says only the thing about how opportunistic the selling agent was, right? So if we all start using this narrative, then apply it to this one. If we all start using the 21% narrative, then somebody would have actually offered 484,000 euros over. So don't talk about how much you should offer over the asking price. Look at the market value. Yeah. Who can do that? We can help you with that. There's something called a land registry where you can actually do that as well. Maybe I think I got a question there. Where do you get the market value from? Yeah, good question, Andu. So we can support you with that. There's also something called the land registry. Cadastro.nl. I just posted a link in there. That's something where you can get the market value from. Then, what is a winning offer? A winning offer is a good price. It's not always the highest price. Let's look at that previous property, right? So let me go back there. Okay, let's look at this example. The property is on the market for 380. The market value is 430, and you have savings of 30,000 euros. So technically, you couldn't spend more than 460. But if you don't know what the market value is and you put an offer up for 480 because you heard that you have to overbid by this amount of money, then if the selling agent gets wind of that you don't have enough savings, then he's not going to accept your offer. So submit a realistic offer. Of course, it can be high, right? It doesn't have to be exorbitant, or it doesn't have to be crazy, but make sure you base it on the market value, because the seller will want to have security that you're going to move forward with the offer and with the deal, right? If the seller gets wind that you're going to back out because you have doubts, then he's not going to move forward with you. If the seller thinks that you added too many clauses in there, he's not going to move forward with you. One thing, and we talked about it earlier a little bit, was the chat you need to have with the mortgage broker, right? Why is that? Because one of the key clauses in a contract is the finance clause that gives you the right to pull out of the deal if you don't get your mortgage. But that also means that the seller has to wait 4 to 6 weeks after signing the purchase contract to get the security of knowing that you're going to move forward with it. So they might actually go for somebody who doesn't have that clause in. I would never advise to take that clause out unless you have consent of both your mortgage broker and your real estate agent, right? So have a chat with them, but offer the seller security that you're going to move forward. Also offer the least amount of hassle. If the seller wants to move out the 1st of February, don't ask him to move out the 1st of December. If the seller is a little bit older, don't ask him to redo all these things in the house. Just in general, right? Only focus on the really, really high priorities. For example, if the boiler is broken, ask the seller to fix it, right? But don't put too many requests in that thing. Also think about, let's say the seller wants to move out and he has a lot of furniture in it, but he wants to sell the furniture. If you say, no, I don't want that furniture, then that might be a less attractive offer than if somebody would want to buy the furniture and take the hassle away from the seller to actually move or sell it. Of course, if you then say, I don't want the furniture, but I've got a better offer, then that could work, right? But please take that into account when you submit the offer. And offer personal touch. Tell a little bit more about yourself, especially if you're competing with an investor, which is very likely nowadays. If you have the same offer and the owner, the seller, is a person who's lived in this property for a while, then most likely he will pick the person or the party that will actually enjoy living in the property and not using it as an investment. Last but not least, due diligence. This is actually an interactive section. We have 2 types of parties that can actually join you to the property. One is a technical inspector. They'll actually go and see what the quality of the property is. It doesn't need renovations anytime soon. And then you have the appraiser, which will actually take the value of the property. He will write a report, do the majority of his work behind his desk, and then he'll send the report to an independent institute who will check if you played by the rules. If that's the case, then he'll forward it to the bank. When do you get these guys to come in? Do you get them in before or after your offer is accepted? Maybe pop your answers in the chat. So do you get the guys in before or after your offer is accepted? I get one before. Anyone says before more or an after? So it is a bit of a trick question, so I'm just going to spill the beans on it. It is after the offer is accepted. Why? Because these guys cost money. The appraiser costs about $700. The technical inspector costs $430. Get them in after, because if you get them in before your offer is not accepted, you've wasted that money. You're not committed to the deal when your offer is accepted. You're only committed to the deal once the cool-off period ends. So first, you get the offer accepted, then you get these guys in. Make sure they give you the reports ASAP. So preferably before you sign the purchase contract. Purchase contract is the agreement between you and the bank, or you and the seller, that you're going to buy it under these conditions. The seller is going to sell it under these conditions. You have, however, 3 days after the cool-off period ends. Sorry, you have 3 days after the purchase contract is signed. Sorry, I was reading a chat as well. 3 days after the purchase contract is signed to reconsider. If you pull out within those 3 days, you don't have to give a reason. Afterwards, you can't pull out unless you use one of the clauses in the contract. So once your offer is accepted, next day, call the guys, get them to come in ASAP, get the reports in, preferably before the purchase contract signing. And then if you don't get the reports in then, make sure you get the reports in before the cool-off period, because you want to know what the condition of the property is in case you want to back out. You want to know what the value of the property is, because that's going to tell you more about whether you're going to get your mortgage or not. So make sure you understand this process. Submit the offer, get it accepted, book in the due diligence, get the reports before bridge contract and latest before the cool-off period, and then you can either negotiate a little bit or pull out in case you're not happy. So a brief recap. I actually sailed through that presentation. Before you get started in the right state of mind, make sure you nail your finances. Use the fundamentals. Always look at market value. Send a smart and considerate offer and time your due diligence. Any questions from you guys or girls? How much? How much what, undo? You said it's a fixed cost. Ah, yeah, I actually have a slide about that. So this is the two services that we offer. We have a smart package and a complete package. The smart package is a package where we actually are kind of like your digital assistant. We do everything except for search, scheduling viewings, and attending viewings. We review the property documents, we do the market evaluation, we submit the offer, we do the legal document review, we book in third parties, we do the transfer support, and we do that for a fixed fee. I'm not sure, can I actually move this thing? By the way, this is including tax and no hidden charges, fees, or taxes. Then we have the complete package, which is we do the intake and we actually schedule the viewings. We don't do the search because Funda is very easy to do that. And we attend the viewings and we actually attend the notary and the inspector as well. We do everything the same as Smart, but we're just a little bit more time consuming because we actually go there with you and visit all the properties together. So is the fee tax deductible? No, our fee is not tax deductible, unfortunately, Andu. Hopefully it will be in the future, but for now, only things related to your mortgage. So the valuator and the mortgage broker, and that is tax deductible. So question from Flavia. I would be interested to know where to look for the market value of the house we are interested in. Yeah, so Andu actually answered that question, cadastro.nl. So that is a good and helpful thing. Other sites rather than Funda. Perarius started also posting properties. Jaap.nl, you can look at that. Fabio, I think, I'm not sure if it's Fabio.nl, but Fabio, check that, look that out. But Funda is the biggest one. So the majority of the properties, about 95% of the properties will show on Funda. Any other questions? With or without the makelaar? So of course I'm gonna preach from our own church, but technically I'd say you can do it without, but the risk, and I honestly, I've reread my own purchase contract and transfer deeds after a couple of years, and I didn't know what I didn't know, which made me very happily naive, but I think that it's going to increase your chances, and also you'll make sure that you don't end up buying something that is not what you expect it to be. And on the website of brokers, the houses will be the first on the websites before being on Funda. On some, but not on the majority. Are they worth the 1.5%, 2%? It depends on what you think is valuable to you. It really depends on what it is that you're looking for. I don't believe in commission and fees that are linked to how much you pay for a property. Why would you pay more if you're already paying more for the house? That's not the right incentive. That's why we charge a flat fee. We don't believe in that. Any further questions? No? Then I want to wish you a lovely Friday and weekend ahead. Have a great one. Take care, and looking forward to maybe helping you out in the future. And if not, don't hesitate to reach out for any questions. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.